EBS TV, television reloaded.
Talk. So we need food to talk. So food is an important matter and everybody's business. And that's what we'll be looking at this morning. How are we going to ensure that there is food security for us? How do we get to plenty in Nigeria as against this 110 or 011 or 000? So we are trying to look at this morning, and at the end we believe that there will be solution to this problem we are having right now. And we have some gentlemen who will be discussing with us. Fortunately for us, they are farmers. They are all farmers in their own fields, in their own way. Some are even subsistence farmer or mechanized farmer. But whatever it is, they are farmers. So we have Wisdom Elder with us. Wisdom Elder, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Josephine.
All right, we have Ewe Osifo, who is a farmer.
Good morning. Thanks.
And we have the retired PS and also a farmer, Malam Ikeluwa. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
All right, this one, let me go to the retired PS. Sir, do we have food in Nigeria right now? Is there food in the country? What I mean, food in the country, how available do we have food in Nigeria?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. The food may be available, it may not be available. Then the food could be available, but people have no access to it. You may not have physical access to the food. For example, if food is available at Iwaro, it's not brought to Benin, somebody in Benin will say there's no food. If food is in Benin and somebody in Benin has no money to purchase the food is also not available. So we look at it from availability of the food per se and ability to access the food. And that is actually the concept of food insecurity. Food insecurity will come in when people have no access to food, either because the food is not physically available or the food is available, they have no access to it, either as a result of distance or as a result of lack of finance or money. So these are the issues that we have to actually look at.
Okay, that means, Pastor Elder Wisdom, is there scarcity of food right now in Nigeria?
All right. Going by your statistics, over 9 million Nigerians are living under hunger level. That means they don't have complete access to food, and I think 5.1 million from that 9 million are coming from the northeast and the north central, where you have a major challenge as a result of insecurity. So that has also posed a serious challenge into the distribution of food in the country. So if you ask me, going by your statistics, there is high level of food scarcity in Nigeria. And I think that is why we're here, to look into it because of food scarcity and to really point out where the whole situation got it all wrong and how we can actually correct the anomaly. So there's actually food scarcity in Nigeria, irrespective of the fact that maybe you have access to food now. There are people who are not having access to food in this country. The challenge we have in this dispensation, when you see people who can talk and then they are feeling well, they are enjoying life. So we tend to assume that every other person is okay. But we forget that the rate of poverty that hits you at the city is almost like 10 times more with respect to what is happening in the rural communities, places that doesn't have access to light, electricity, they don't have access to some of the good roads and water and a lot of them. So these people have more effects of whatever happens to people in the city. So if people in the city are complaining today that there's high cost of food in the country and in the states, for example, that means people in the rural communities are really suffering. And that is what we have to look into. People are really suffering in this country, so because of food scarcity. So there's actually food scarcity in this country.
All right, thank you. That one is clear right now that there is food insecurity, and food is very vital to mankind. Let me stay with the PS. What type of food insecurity do we have? You know, some areas will say, okay, maybe there's shortage of rice, maybe there's shortage of some grains. What kind do we have right now? What type are we experiencing, the kind of food insecurity?
No, well, the truth of the matter is that you have to look at it holistically. There's food insecurity. There's no doubt about that. Because when people have no access to food for their normal growth and development and sustenance of life and health, and that because the food is unaffordable or it's not available, they are related. There is food insecurity. Because what do you need food for? You need food, first of all, to give you energy.
That's it.
The calories. And these calories can come from a cocktail of food. So we also need food for the sustenance of your health and development and growth as a normal human being. This again provided by proteinous food with necessary and other food necessary vitamins and minerals. So we look at it holistically. There's total shortage of food. There's no doubt about that. And it's compounded by the fact that there's also abject poverty. So the concept should also be looked at national level and at household level. At the household level is that I wake up in the morning, I don't know where the next meal is coming from. The national level is for government to look at the citizens all over. See, more people are being put into the poverty cycle. Poverty and food insecurity, they are twin brothers. One is affecting the other. If you are poor, you cannot be food secure. And if you have enough food, you cannot be said to be poor.
If you have enough food.
Yes, you cannot be said to be poor. If you have enough food, you cannot be poor. If you have enough food to eat, you have energy to work and make money. And you'll be healthy. You spend less on health. So there are two. You cannot have access to food. You cannot be food secure and at the same time poor. And you cannot be poor and be food secure. So this is part of this one. That's why you find that at household level, people can strive to make themselves food secure. Like I always advocate, there are things government can do. There are things that we as individuals, as family head, as mothers, as fathers, even as children, that we can do. There are food crops that have very short gestation periods. There are food that you can plant and harvest in less than 2 months.
For example, please.
For example, there are varieties of maize that you can plant and harvest in 2 months. There are varieties of cowpeas, or what you normally call beans.
Irrespective of the soil, the type of soil.
Irrespective, the truth of the size is that soil is like a living organism. It can be managed, it can be manipulated to give you whatever you want by giving it the necessary ingredient. Don't forget that the soil is just a medium of holding the plant. We have advanced. We now have what we call we call it greenhouse farming, where you put your crop even inside a bottle. That bottle contains water, contains the minerals that the plant will normally take from the soil. Here we go. So you can even have your polythene bags. You can have your polythene bags. You can have your used bucket. You can have old cement paper and fill it with soil and put the necessary fertilizer and growth promoters and other, agrochemicals that will aid the growth of your plant. In fact, we have a situation, for instance, people will tell you that yam will be harvested in 9 months. That is not strictly correct. Because you plant yam so that they don't get wasted in the dry season. Right now, in Edo North, they are planting their yams. Many have planted. But that yam, because there's no water, it will not sprout until April. So by April, when it sprouts, by July, you already harvested. But so technically, it's April, May, June, and July. It's actually 4 months. But the average man tells you now 1 year and 9 months. So if, for example, you plant your yam in a polythene bag or a bucket or a cement paper and you give it adequate water, it will sprout right now. When it sprouts right now, within the same 4 months, it will tuberize.
All right.
Release your tuber.
What you're telling us right now, irrespective of the season, you can have whatever you want to have right now.
Straight. So the one we're talking about now, when I say planting bottle, we call it hydroponic agriculture. For example, Japan has no soil. The land is rocky. Japan has the arable land in Japan is so limited, but they are food secure. What they do, they practice hydroponic agriculture. So we find that if you go to Japan, the buildings are decked, the people plant something on top, they feed those bottles with water, and also everywhere you can see is green. It's not from soil, or it's rocky. It's hydroponic agriculture. Agriculture has gone so far. If you go to the internet, the gestation period of many crops have been shortened.
Yes.
We have shortened the gestation period of, like for example, people used to tell you that bitter kola, though the person who plants the bitter kola will not eat it. Pepper fruit, all these things have been shortened through agricultural manipulation, through cuttings. You have cutting, you cut the matures, this thing, you give it growth promoter. We find that plant that will fruit in 5 years, reduce to 2 years. Right now, for example, we have cashew nuts that fruits in 18 months. 18 months instead of 4 years. So this is why I'm saying that the food security issue is at household level and governmental level. All
right, thank you so much. I was waiting to hear that. For instance, maybe this red yam. In those days, we see red yam everywhere.
Yeah.
But I ask a question that what kind of food right now that is insecure in Nigeria, the type of food.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, it depends on the household and government that nothing can be, all food is available.
Everything.
If you make it available. All right, thank you for your thought.
Yeah,
Let me come to Mr. Ewe. What are the causes? You said something just that Japan, that they don't have arable ground, they don't have land, but they still have food. But we have land, everywhere is fertile. We don't see food. There's no food in the country. What are the causes of food insecurity in Nigeria?
Well, the truth is that has been established. There's really food insecurity. I have so many ways of actually looking at it. You get to some areas, you don't have food. It looks as if you don't have food. Sometimes I also get to some area, there is a lot of food. I'll come to that, but I just mention it, a lot of wastages of our food. The people waste food in this land. Sometimes when you say there is no food, I feel a little bit uncomfortable. People don't cook what they want to eat. They cook what they buy, waste it. That is point one. Then why it look as if there is food, there is security, the fact is that our people are lazy. Nobody wants to work. The Pierre just said something. You don't need to go digging the ground to plant now. A friend of mine said he wanted to do mushroom farm. And I got to his place, he packaged soil everywhere on dry cement. I began to wonder how is it going to be. About a month later I got there, I saw mushroom everywhere. I said, oh, this is really true. Nobody wants to go to farm, especially our youth. Elderly people have difficulty. We still do a lot of labor in our farm. It's not mechanized. When he said household, the household area is not mechanized. Our parents, for example, they have a lot of children. We were able to take care of them. Everybody go to the farm, we work, and then the food is brought, we eat. Now, majority of these boys, these young ladies, these young boys, the youth, they are in town. Nobody want to go to the farm again. Then, if you want to have more of this food, especially the one the peer just mentioned, the one that you don't even need to look for arable soil everywhere. I think that's the area government comes in. The government need to invest in agriculture, mechanize agriculture. Let us, our young people that have a lot of energy. Our youth has a lot of energy. This energy should be properly channeled instead of being put into Yahoo, drug abuse, and all that. There should be farms. We still have a lot of land. If you don't want to be in the city to do the one that under the greenhouse system, which only government can finance because of the level of income or financing that is now, then you can go to your rural area. There are farms that you don't even need. There are land that you don't even need to even apply fertilizer. The fertilizer thing may come probably to shorten the period. Because as I was saying, it's not only, this thing does not only depend on the issue of things you plant. Today, I can tell you your fowl, agri fowl, can mature in 8 weeks. It has been shortened. Most of this thing has been shortened. You can easily get it done.
With consequences also. Do you agree with that?
No,
with consequences.
I'm
This
not going
shortening of things.
I'm not
All right,
I'm not going to subscribe
the
to that.
experts is not in the house to let us know. We're just talking our own here. All right, go ahead, please.
So the people, our youth should be encouraged. There should be farm settlements. And those of us that, if you are hearing the sound of our voice here, you have nothing doing sitting in the town, idling away your time, you can spend your weekend in your community. Do a small farm in your father's compound or farmland where nobody is even using it right now. And those of us that are in the city, in the household, I remember when I was a little bit younger, during Obasanjo regime, there used to be Operation Feed the Nation. Civil servants were directed to make sure they have farms in their backyard.
Most states, they are into it, that they will create a day aside.
What we even see now, if you go to our houses, and especially the houses that have been built by these young people, they concrete everywhere, tiles everywhere, no place to even put. What are we talking about? Our land is very fertile. Just put corn there. In the next 2 months, you already harvested something. Everybody should be involved. You started it. That is the slogan you brought in here when we started. Food business is everybody's business. If everybody is involved, if I can produce, I'm not even saying all, if I can produce a quarter of what I eat, I do well, so I'm aligned. Say don't go.
All right, thank you. Do you have something to add to
Yes,
what you just
yes,
said?
I have to. Yeah, I think I belong to the generation that that should represent the youth that are not really. Yes, I want to say something. We have orientation challenge. Yes, when we were coming up, we had the orientation that the poor man is a farmer, and then the financially secured person is an engineer, a banker, a lawyer, a doctor, and an accountant. And that this challenge started from even our primary school days. You know, the primary school English reader we normally read. It will tell you Abu is in Calabar, and then the mother is a Akara seller, and all the rest of them. And the other family, the father is an accountant, but one thing or the other, this one loves this one. And then before you know it, they had sympathy on the poor one. And we gave a picture of poverty from cradle to our children. So when we came out from that kind of environment and that kind of mindset, we made up our mind that we are going to be wealthy. And the definition of wealthy, based on the background we have been given, was that we should avoid farming, we should avoid small-scale business like the Akara man, the fisherman, that was a poor man in the community. Every evening they come, they gather. But we should go for the accounting, the engineer, and the big things like that. So that was the beginning. And the second thing is this. Nigeria discovered oil. And because Nigeria saw that oil is fast producing and is something that can sustain the economy, they focused their attention on oil and then discarded every other thing, especially agriculture. We started importing foods. When we have the land in Nigeria, we have a very fertile land, we have fertile atmosphere. Everything is conducive for us to feed the entire continent of Africa. That is the truth. And we have the population. But we have given the youth a wrong impression, and then we as a government have taken to a different concept about survival of the system. So we focused on oil, exporting, importing, how to make the billions, and the youth focused on white-collar jobs. And before you know it, we kept going, and then the agricultural sector kept dying. And as soon as we are coming out, you are telling youth to return to farm. They are looking at you as somebody who has already brainwashed them to go this way, and now you are telling them return this way. It's going to be difficult, except, let me say this, except because I've done a book, The World of Youth in Africa, where we did a kind of, we changed the orientation of youths over a lot of mundane traditional way of living that we actually imbibed or acquired from colonial masters, from traditions that are no longer existing. So except number one, the youth will now be given a new concept about agriculture that will make agriculture to be very, very contemporary. And it is possible. Like the ways of farming, the benefits of going into farming, and then how better it is, and then creating the enabling environment, you understand? Regulating it and making sure that people embrace it. Like for example, somebody, I can, even though your land, your building is tarred all through, you can plant yams successfully in your tarred environment and harvest them without digging a soil. You understand? Now, you can do fish farming, and then you can sell your fish farming online. If youths don't know how to blend the gap between the technological age and the agricultural age, and then how they can use the information technology to advance farming, they will see going back to farming as a way of bringing them back to poverty. They will not see it as a contemporary measure. Most people will not believe, okay, Dangote is a farmer, he's making money from food processing. So there are people who we can see, and there are ways we can change the orientation of youths. You know, you can market your fishes online. You can do a lot of big-time business. You can go into agricultural food processing, like what we're doing now, processing of food, and then repackaging of food items in this country, which a lot of us we have left. We have not repackaged a lot of our food items.
All right, thank you so much
yeah.
for that. We're talking about the causes of food insecurity in Nigeria. P.S. We spoke about orientation, that most people see farming like poor business and other factors contributing to this. Listen, this insecurity issue, when we talk about, okay, doing this kind of small farming, you can have a bag of cement, you put soil, you put your plant, and it will grow. When we're talking about large-scale farming and the security, people are afraid because most of the food we have in the tank comes from our villages. But findings right now is telling us that most people are afraid to go to their farms, and that's why we don't see some of the food that we used to see in our marketplaces. What do you think can be done to address that?
Well, certainly the government has a very huge responsibility to ensure that we have food. Like what is said in terms of orientation, to orientate the youth to see that farming can't be good for anybody. And in fact, that's what some of us try to do, that anybody can be a farmer. Like I'm very proud to call myself a farmer. The truth of the matter is that if people are aware, a lot of orientation and government continuous advocacy, a lot of people will go into farming. And the issue of security, take it as a fixed factor. Whether you are a farmer or you are not a farmer, you are equally affected
Affected.
by the insecurity that is in the country.
That's true.
After all, people travel on the road, they are kidnapped. They are not kidnapped in their farms. What has happened is some area, after all, some of us, by the grace of God, we still go to farm. We still go to farm, we have our farms. The truth of the matter is that the security is something where is the role of government. But I do know that a lot of communal effort is going on. A lot of communal effort is going on. A lot of communal vigilante, they are going on to monitor what is happening. And I think that we cannot give up. It will be too pessimistic and defeatist to say that because there's insecurity, then I should fold my hand. I don't think that is right. As for government, large-scale farming, what I think large-scale farming is good, but most of the time in the past, it didn't work because government was involved. Look at Agbede farm. Those days, as a student, in 1974, we used a helicopter to spray. I was in Agbede farm to do internship. We used a helicopter to spray. They were Germans. It was, everything there was mechanized.
As a day?
Yeah, 74. Great time of Omodia. The same thing with Warake farm. We used a helicopter to spray chemicals. That's how mechanized it was. But then, if any spare part was required, you have to fly somebody to Germany to go and bring the spare part. That is not the kind of thing that we want. The countries that have developed, they evolve. They evolve. Today, I have 2 hectares. Next year, I have 10. The other one, I have this thing. So mechanization should not be looked upon as heavy machine alone. It should be looked upon as a way of easy farming through science. You may not have all the heavy equipment. Your farm can still be mechanized through scientific process. There are still small scale. What is mechanization? Mechanization is to reduce drudgery. That is farming too hard. The bag, if I replace hoe and cutlass agriculture.
Yeah.
That's what mechanization is all about.
Yes.
So it doesn't necessarily have to involve a huge armament of machines, bulldozer. No, that could not. That should not even be the case. So what we are saying is that the process of mechanization should be an evolving something, and it should be private sector led. Government is totally out of it because government, as they say, has no business in business.
All right.
Farming is a business. Government has no business in business, and farming itself is a business.
And it's a very important
It's a
business.
very, very important business.
Very, very important.
And also, you mentioned something that I was very interested in. That people concrete their houses, they do this, and 2, that there's a lot of wastage. I start from the wastage. The wastage is from 2 angles. There's a lot of wastage at the household level. People cook food, the next morning they go and throw them into the dustbin. The dustbin is always filled. It's not only wasteful, it is also a sin. It's also a sin for you to waste food.
Why some don't even have to eat.
And 2, when you are removing so much from the market, which you don't need, you create scarcity. You reduce the supply. And simple economists tell us that when supply is less, demand will go up and price will also go up. So that is one angle of the wastage. But the other angle, which is more important, is the issue of processing. If you go to the market in the evening, you see a lot of food being thrown away. Overripe bananas, they are thrown away that are not purchased. Overripe plantain, thrown away. Tomatoes, thrown away, and so forth and so on. This brings me to the cold chain. We have the cold chain system, where at the national level, at state level, like in China, which I had the opportunity of visiting, like in Cuba, which I also had the opportunity of seeing, every evening, people will come and all the food that they are not able to sell, they are put into the cold store. So you don't have any waste at all. You don't have any waste at all. So your tomatoes will be there. Your banana will be there. You don't have to throw them away because you cannot sell. If you go to New Benin, the amount of tomatoes that is thrown away, you'll be amazed. In fact, the estimate, my book, The Thought of a Professional, a Nigerian agricultural, The Thought of I estimated through research that 30% of the food we produce is wasted. 30% of the food we produce is wasted. So, comment is, you see silos, all those big, they look like drum. If you are going to Auchi, you see this.
Is it still functional?
That is where we are coming. Because it was put there out of courtesy. What I mean by out of courtesy, you put it there, the people to maintain them are not trained. Because you see them silos in America, you see silos in this thing, that's where they were put. If you go to India, there are no silos. What they have is small-scale on-farm storage system that any farmer can use. After what does a farmer have to store? Maybe I produce 2 tons of grain. I use 1 ton, the other 1 ton. But when you aggregate all those tonnages from the different farmers, it translates to pyramid of food. So all those silos now, they are all dysfunctional. They are all dysfunctional. That is one. And 2, when the technology is the issue, that is where we are always talking about agricultural extension. Agricultural extension it cannot be overemphasized to teach farmers and the farming population new methods, new innovations, new technology of doing farming better. When we say farming now, from production to processing to marketing, you teach them. For instance, like maize or cowpea, that they are so susceptible to insects. If you produce cowpea now, if you don't store it properly, in a month's time, it's all gone. In a month's time, it's all gone. Whereas, in that this thing, if you just put a tablet of phosphocin and keep the next 10 years, there will be no weevil. But how many farmers are aware? And the unfortunate thing there, very unfortunate, which he mentioned, is a reality that the farming population is dwindling. In fact, up to today, in fact, what we estimated when I was in ADP as a research person was that 65%, I mean, the average age or the median age of our farmer is 65 years old.
Yes.
So if you pick farmers randomly, many of them are 65 years old and above. What can a 65-year-old man do again? It's already on the departure sector, That is the truth of the matter. So there must be a way to orientate the younger people into farming. And you can only do that if you make farming competitive. That somebody going to farming can also be as good as somebody who is a doctor. It can be as good as somebody who is an accountant. It can be as good as anybody. That is one angle. The other angle is that of vocation. You see, if you go to Israel, people are so proud. Somebody will tell you, I'm a surgeon. I'm a surgeon, but my vocation is fishing. Somebody will tell you, I'm a lawyer, but my vocation is poultry breeding. There's nobody in Israel who does not have a vocation. There's nobody in Israel who does not have a vocation. Even some of these soldiers you are seeing, that so those great generals, they also have vocation. Somebody said, I'm net medi. It's a vocation is something you are made to do out of love, out of passion. With that, when you bring the whole thing together, fine.
All right, thank you.
The last one, when he measured this concrete something, You see, when you go to China, the backbone of their agriculture, the backbone of their food security is what we call urban agriculture. Urban, you cannot see a wasted land in China. You can't see any land that is wasted. Every land is devoted for something. You can't, somebody who has land will go to the market and be pricing porky. He say, give me porky, you price
And
this
you have a
grain.
land.
And if this is porky or grain, which is in any case within 8 weeks, you are harvesting. He talked about mushroom, which if you have a disused garage where you park your car, you can as well bring million to you if you know what to do. So, so these are some of the issues. So, we must deliberately encourage our people to have interest in urban agriculture. And lastly, you see, there's a theory in economics. If you are not making enough money in the city to pay for your food, or if you are spending 70% of your income to buy food, you have no business staying in the city. You are wasting your time.
You have to relocate.
Go to the village.
But people are
Because
afraid to go.
you remain poor because the fact when people are talking about poverty, actually the urban poverty is more biting. The urban poverty is more biting. I can tell you, if you are not aware, people sleep under the bridge, people sleep inside the moat, people sleep inside the hole because of poverty. We don't have that in the villages.
All right, thank you so much for that, Mr. Ewe. Talking about this type of agro farming, using chemicals, using your sack to plant things. But people will complain and say they don't have assets, money to buy these things. Because if you want to do this type of farming, it requires money. True or false, PS, to buy those chemicals and all that.
Certainly. Certainly.
And people don't have access to loans to get this. I have interest. I have a house that is concrete, and I want to go into this type of farming. But the amounts they are telling me to buy this kind of the fertilizer or whatever it is so high. What can government do to help in this kind of regard?
The PS has set the ball rolling. They have told us many things what we are supposed to do, especially our youth. I think the government too. I don't want to be hard on government this time. Sometimes I'm a little bit hard. I think government is also setting some enabling environment. There are so many things that the state government is doing to enable the people, the youth. All you need to do is to bring up a proposal. The way government is looking at agriculture now and the banking, the finance houses, I think the government has made a lot of money available. Okay. Whether to empower, anchor borrower, these things are all reality. They are existing. Yeah. They are in fact, if we talk about since we are talking nationally and even state-wise, I think even in local government, there are funds available for agri. If you really know what you are doing, don't come and collect money for your own purpose. You tell us what you want to do with the money. The Bank of Agric is here. It's here.
So the money is available
for us to get involved.
It's the awareness right now.
And I wouldn't want to also, I think there's something I don't want us to run away from quickly, because I am seeing that your time look as if it is ticking.
Yeah.
If we're talking about food insecurity and scarcity that goes with it, I think in our market, food is very expensive. In our market, if we manage to get to the market, the PS has said something concerning sometimes it's there in Auchi, sometimes it's there in my village, it's not able to get here for transport. When he eventually get to Ekusa, when he eventually get to New Benin, it's very expensive. I think we need to address that, we look at that place too, so that we can use this opportunity to reach out to our market women. They have made a lot of the food expensive. It's not as expensive as that.
What do you think is the cause of that?
I think it's not. We don't need to look for it somewhere. There are too many market unions in our market that are not controlled. I'm not against union. You can set up unions, but the government should control it. We cannot really shy away from what you used to be when we were young. You see price control over everything. You can buy bottled water in Benin for 10 naira, the same thing 10 naira in Maliguri. What we are seeing now, right here in Benin, the way the market goes about, the union goes about their various, there is a general union, market association, big one. They don't come and have miniature unions for tomatoes, for pepper, and some of these.
For even the leaf.
The pumpkin you are talking about. It's too much. These things are heightened, bringing up, making the price of this thing, and making your salary are not able to cope with it. I think that area, I am interested in having unions in the market. Fine, it's good. Government can use it to reach them, to talk to them, to enlightenment, and so on and so on. But it should be controlled. We should know how much they are collecting, how much they are selling. I can't imagine that even Pepper has a union, Pumpkin have a union. Waiting not get union again, that you cannot even just buy anything. And another thing I want to add, presently I live at Savile Road. I used to live very close here, at 30 Secular. Do you know what I buy at Ekiosa here? It's 3 times or 4 times when I get to Savile Road.
It's a transport fare. We shouldn't forget that.
It's not.
It's not.
It's the
Okay.
union.
It's a union.
Yes.
All right, we shouldn't forget about transportation fare also, because some of them will tell you that where they normally go for like 200 is now 500. So all this is contributing to this food insecurity. We don't have much time. If I want to tag this, maybe part 1, and maybe by next week we'll do the part 2 if my guests will have the time to come. We just have to trash this issue of food insecurity in Nigeria. I want to thank Wisdom Elder for his time and your thoughts. Thank you for coming. Ewe Osifo, thank you also.
Thank you for presenting me. Thank you.
All right, Malam Mikelua, retired PS and farmers. All these men, they are farmers, and they are in one way or the other contributing to the food basket of Edo State. What are you doing in your own contribution to the food basket of Edo State? Start a farm. Do a small-scale farm in your house so that there will be food in your house. That's our show this morning on food insecurity in Nigeria. I'm Josephine Ehimihe. Do have a blessed
EBS TV, television reloaded.